this Viper comp.
Yeah.
Sean and Baby Bay were really high on the amount of things that you can do as Cloud9, and I was really excited with not only the defensive and just default conditioning opportunities that you get with the Viper, but also the aggressive tendencies you have. Look at this wall!
Yeah, it's already something you don't see very often. We'll see how they choose to play around it. This crew are so intent, already leaning everything towards B. They've dropped nanos in on the site before they even got to Boathouse. They have everything perfectly drilled here.
And the interesting point there, Rooney actually bought a smoke instead of a molly, so they're able to get through right perfectly, and that KO knife as well suppresses him, so no delay. They have to play full 5v5 retake, the only damage done on Zeppa.
Seems like they're gonna have 3 coming in through garage. Zels is still making sure there's nobody pushing in towards mid, and now they're gonna work their way forward. An early paranoia.
Get them off lane.
Where do they go from here? A little bit of spam down through stairs, the spike ticking away. Nags playing up close first. The dash come through, and you already see the spam coming through smokes as well. Meltzer still playing from backside as a couple of members of Cloud9 have fallen. Numbers in favor of KRU here. Zeppa, on the other side of the smoke, only getting 1. That's a round for KRU. That's an excellent start.
A couple of mistakes there from Cloud9, though. Leaf with the missed dash, where he was going to get into the site and actually break up quite a few crossfires. Might have gotten those trades a lot easier for Cloud9. You might have looked at a 5v3 instead of that 3v3 where everybody on KRU was backside. Do have to commend Rooney. Repositioning his orb made that difficult for the KRU players, but there's just way too little time in that case where they all come funneling through B main. These final moments right here. Kesnit, Melzer, everybody's just playing together there. That orb kind of funneled them to play together in that instance. Even though I was saying it was quite good, you can see how little things change the situation.
And that chaotic pistol leaves us in this situation early with no buy for Cloud9. Meanwhile, KRU are not nearly as bunched up as we saw them in the first round.
Well, they're going to dry walk out. I was thinking they're not going to hit this site because the spike is still over towards top mid.
They spot someone there? Did Zelsa see something?
There's 4 players here now for Cloud9. The smoke's coming just in time. They're not going to be able to do this.
I mean, both of them. Both smokes coming through from the attack and the defensive side, forcing this into a bit of a stalemate, at least for the time being.
So they're not going to be able to strike fast, but this wall is something that KRU is going to have to try to decide what to do with because it's very unconventional. It's the first time I'm seeing it in Cloud9 right now. It's a great wall against any sort of cap pressure. You have to clear so many things once you get up and once it's activated, but Rooney's still holding on to that fuel. Since everybody's grouped up in tree, and that does leave Jake completely isolated here on this B side.
He does have a ghost. But that's all he has so far, and that ghost was enough to get 2.
30 seconds
I'm sorry,
left.
what?
That's a
Spike
great
down
start for
mid.
Cloud9.
And this is Eco9 right here. They're so good in these moments. They got quite a few of them on Pearl in that series yesterday against Sentinels.
They've been able to upgrade 1 weapon at least for Zelsis. He's got the Bulldog now. Nags playing down low, just getting the best of Leaf. Hard in situations like that to convert that into a win. But either way, Cloud9 still with much to do. Zelsis is taking a fair bit of damage. Positioned in a place where if he falls, Rooney can pick up the gun and continue to push his way forward. But the nanos, the delaying of utility from KRU has been so effective. It's buying so much time. And there's the threat. It all falls onto Zeppa, but it's a 1v1. Nags is weak. This is big. 54 HP. KRU wins it out.
Exit stays composed, and he took the first fight on that retake and took the last one too. Really nice job from him to keep the round close because Jake did such good work by himself. He's in a weird position, but he's still with just a ghost there should absolutely not be getting anything. Especially with the fact that they were so comfortable dry walking all the way up. If they did that, they would have found him completely by himself and probably caught unaware. Now though, look at the econ for them. They only have 2 Vandals. We do have 1 purchased up, but this is not going to be easy for them to actually convert this bonus against Cloud9's full weaponry here.
You see the same Viper wall out from Rooney we've talked about in the previous round. It seems like this time they want to explore around it a little bit more. Remember in the previous round, for the most part, they avoided it.
Oh, there's a flash potentially primed here from Jake that would suppress the ability to hear right there for Leaf to maybe make an updraft dash play to flank.
And if that's not enough, you have Zeppa who's got a flash close by too. But I don't know that that tagged anyone.
I'm really worried here what Leaf is going to do, especially with Nax still in close mid.
Trailblazer cleared. There's the paranoia you were just referring to. 2 down. That's 3 down. As Cloud9 cracked the round wide open.
And meanwhile, KRU's just trying to smoke off the turret to get out here while all that's going on. But when the main tip fails, it's not going to be easy to do that. So Cloud9, a really, really nice and clean anti-bonus there. Flawless in the approach. That flash from Jake was such... I mean, look, everybody's blind there. And meantime, Leaf is able to isolate the fight completely alone against Nags. These are the type of trap plays that Cloud9 is really good at. And it's kind of hard to get them set up on a scent. But you can tell the prep coming in this map already.
What do they have going on here? Leaf looking to explore the middle of the map by himself. Jake once again not far off. He's so aggressive. Look at how much space he's taken. It's just on the other side. He's going to clear the turret too and get away. I mean, he didn't get the kill, but...
Takes what he can get, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be quite a while till Nags gets that back up, and if they need to rely on that for passive flank watching, it's going to be a little difficult for them to get in positions to execute. Either way, they still have this KO. Cloud9 is kind of playing the KJ really far back here to make sure he's not getting suppressed by that KO. But if he goes up mid and pops it, that suppresses it anyways.
And mid is the place it seems like KRU are looking to fill. Nothing from Cloud9 here to cover it.
I do like this insistence for them to go for this mid multiple times now. Given this wall, I'd try to avoid this at all costs.
It seems like that's what KRU are doing. Seeker's invested. You hear the ult used. Rooney's getting the first onto Kesnet.
Leaf is here too. I don't know if they realize this.
Oh, Nags may not have known, but he took care of him anyway. Seems like it's going to have to be a ferocious attempt to retake from Cloud9 in order to get this site back from KRU. They're up in numbers. They've taken their post-plant positions. The Seekers have been dealt with.
Both post plants that we've seen on this B site have gone to KRU. The pistol and that anti-eco, it was close.
Zap has a flash and Jake has a paranoia, so they have some tools to do this. But it's much like what we saw the last time we were in this position. The utility that KRU is using to delay is just so effective, but Zelsis finds an opening. Jake does too, and they get the site back.
Fighting through the smoke there too from Elzer. The way they're able to get all those kills in sync is so nice from Cloud9. And again, despite a missed flash, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a missed flash. That went just around the corner. Didn't tag the player who was playing up close to stairs, but definitely could have flashed the player's back sight or forced them to dodge.
I mean, it looked so promising for KRU until Zelsis happened. He just found so much value pushing lane. I mean, and then the counter punch of Jake pushing downstairs at the other side, that left-right combo just overwhelmed KRU.
It's always a tough decision to know which of the back sites entrances to smoke off.
Right, yeah.
In that case, Jake actually smoked the back right, and that actually nullified this one way that was there entirely. It forces KRU completely down to just pistols here in this eco round. See if they can do what Cloud9 did to them.
Interesting that they gave Nags the... Well, never mind. It makes sense now.
And they've gotten the sight. So they go 1 for 1.
That paranoia does tag Nags, but, or Kesnet, excuse me, but Cloud9 haven't taken a ton of space, so you gotta be careful because Nags is on the flank, and he is considered, he's dealt with a 3K from Jake to get Cloud9 to 3.
Jake is absolutely stepping up in these first 5 rounds so far.
I mean, even yesterday.
He's been a beast for them in this LCQ. Was a beast for them in the regular season. Not somebody we really expected to perform so well at the tier 1 level, but here he is still competing for a slot at champs. And we do have this switch up on the Viper wall now for Rooney. I think with the insistence for KRU of going up mid, it's definitely something that I want to see, and it actually gives quite a few pockets, both in logs and inside of the switch, where you saw Jake get those 2 ghost kills much earlier on.
You should run.
I wondered how much more depth they had, Rooney had to his walls, because it felt like it was an inevitability that Cloud9 were going to catch on to the fact that they were avoiding this A wall. We'll see how this one plays around. He's out there with the spike, committing to the ult, and now the rest of KRU are going to funnel through.
With that lockdown, it's a really nice play to just go for it. You can get the plan a little faster.
Yeah. And
you also don't have to commit through B main. You can see Klaus completely droning from way far back. Didn't use it to get in the site. He's just droning the flank. When do you see this? He's just trying to keep the drone alive for as long as possible, delay as long as possible.
And I think his positioning here is key because he has a Hunter's Fury. If Zelsis doesn't choose to invest a lockdown, there is a counter to that. So you've got to expect Zeppa to be able to push and guide him off of that because he knows
they're
where
pushing
it's
him.
coming from, and
Yeah.
there it is. The timing is perfect from Zeppa. He read it so well. Meltzer's now left alone in this 1v5. And that's all it's going to be.
What a beautiful consideration from Zeppa there. Called it out perfectly. And I mean, that could have been disastrous for Cloud9 if they don't consider that, right? That Hunter's Fury is breaking the lockdown. All of a sudden, the crew players don't have to make plays. And instead, they're sitting there inside of the site, inside of the lockdown radius, scrambling. And we have to talk about Kesnet real quick, because he's been first deaths in a lot of these situations so far. He's not finding the value that we're hoping to. And we were mentioning on the desk about how you don't want to give him any of the Raze maps. Here he is playing on this jet. And it's definitely rough so far.
Cover going out.
Odd that, of course, it was such a highly anticipated matchup between Kesnet and Leaf and who was going to pop off, but it's Big Bean, who's currently leading for Cloud9, and he's showing no signs of slowing down.
Great span there from Melzer. And again, that's his fourth first death, and he had a gun in this instance. They were hero rifling him up.
Leaf with the op, finding Nags. They've taken some tree control, and yeah, they've taken Jake down, but this looks like it should be relatively clean the rest of the way for Cloud9. They pop the blades, swing out, get the kill.
I mean, in that instance, I love that as an investment, right? Keep the op up, right? Because he's under pressure. Yeah, his teammates are joining him, but who knows what his opponent is going to do in that instance. So, and as well, with the bank that he has, I'm perfectly comfortable with that situation, despite it being a 3v1 and normally being like, yeah, no, that's should save your ult, but I like it in that case.
Timeout called for KRU. They find themselves down 5-2 in this opening map. At their map pick, as you mentioned earlier. And I think we've seen a couple of fits that have been caused by this, by the Viper on Ascent. Not something we see very frequently. And, you know, we talked about it, that we're going to have to navigate through some of the walls and utility that Rooney was going to be investing. But I think a lot of it, too, has just been how well Cloud9 have considered what KRU want to be doing in these situations. And that feels like that's a large reason why they've found the success that they have.
It definitely has felt so far a little readable. And even though Cloud9 in two instances I can remember definitely stacked the wrong side, it's not something that's going to happen too often as we progress through this and we get these timeouts going. Have to see a change from KRU in that respect, but you also, I mean, you have so much to deal with in terms of anti-stratting against Cloud9 here, and it's been a while since they played this map. Yesterday I was looking in the veto, and it was definitely a decision for the third map against Sentinels for Cloud9, and it looked like they might have gone towards Ascent, but instead chose to avoid it. It could pay off right here, because it's, again, there's so many little aggressive plays that Cloud9 can make on this defense. And again, they're just switching things up out of the timeout to make whatever they just decided and discussed a lot harder to consider. This was probably the last thing that they were talking about, how to deal with this Viper wall. Instead, now they need to consider how to adjust their plans right away. That's a great switch up.
Don't screw it up.
We were talking about the op at the end of the previous round, still in the hands of Leaf, and he's going to be holding B. But it seems like KRU want to work mid. To remember, their exec with the K ult from a couple of rounds ago did at least net them the site. But not with Zelsis here.
That's just off of complete audio there. The turret didn't even fire off.
I think
it's
it was
just listening.
off. Yeah.
That's crazy.
They're still threatening some of these presence down mid, though. And they're in a position here where they have some options. But the Seekers invested here by Cloud9 should read things out pretty nicely.
Jake's been in this position multiple times, but KRU has not actually had to face it.
Oh, those Seekers are so persistent. The flash on the other side of the smoke, and Jake looking to reposition, play a little bit closer, but Melzer's timing is gorgeous.
It's just in time to get the players off. Leaf still finds a kill, though, and it, despite everything, that looks like KRU should have been advantaged. No, the early pick. Down in mid from Zelsis with the Odin.
Still has it. Still working his way out towards the site. He's up in heaven right now. Joined by the other two members of Cloud9. Melzer playing down low. Leaf cleans him up, leaving Nax by himself.
Starting to roll. They're starting to roll here.
They've been rolling. That's 6 rounds in a row now for Cloud9.
Only the pistol and the anti-eco for KRU. And the anti-eco was a failure in that instance, too, despite getting that round.
Yeah.
You can see this snowball happening for Cloud9, and it doesn't have any signs of stopping until potentially some of these ults come up from KRU. And again, they are having success getting it on the site. You can see 3 defuses from Cloud9 there. But holding is tough, and up to this point, KRU's been fantastic in these post plants, but only against their South American opponents.
I'll show you.
Now here, against the favorites in LCQ, they're struggling. Here's that molly. Oh, Pit, actually.
We'll see if they can bully Rooney out of the way. Depends on how fast they want to go. But no, as the pit settles, they have to go to plan B.
And it's interesting there, you think that maybe they're actually trying to counter that entire idea from Rooney there. But this Pit is brutal. I mean, he can hide down lane. There's no way you can actually take him out. So Kesnet wasted his dash in that instance too.
Melser invested his paranoia. It did seem like it was considered that they had a decent idea of what Cloud9 wanted to do, but Rooney was just quicker on the trigger.
And there was also an insta-molly from Zelsys in that situation too to keep them back, so Info just missed as they tuck themselves away on Cat. I think they know what's going on though, even still. Look at that one way from Jake.
Leaf has already crept his way over with the op still. Jake is close by, he just spotted one.
Great
cover, yeah. Leaf just covering for Jake, getting him out of a sticky situation. Very well done.
Look how fast that was too. As Jake gets washed up, it's just so perfect.
They managed to get the spike down. They have tree control too. All comes down to, yeah, how well Davies can hold this.
Oh, they just closed the door late. They're gonna have to spend time breaking while they're fighting and pushing the pinch.
How does Leaf survive that? Kesnet takes down Zelsys. It all falls down onto Rooney, a 1v2. And time is of the essence. The dart cleared. He doesn't realize that there's somebody behind him. There's no way you consider something like that, not in a situation like this. The bullets miss, but Klaus does not.
Finally,
Hold an area pretty well myself.
finally some breathing room here for KRU, but it will reset their economy slightly. His flank from Davies on Cat was perfect, and Melzer considering as well. I love the late door close because it forces Cloud9 to break that because they have to, otherwise they're gonna run out of time, and then that's where he strikes. That's when Davies strikes as well. It's perfect. It sets up that pinch so very well.
Melser's ult, the only one online right now. You see the defensive setup from Zelsys towards B, but KRU leaning A right now. Oh boy. Oh, I thought he was gonna get more. Zeppa does. He cleans it up.
Down A.
And so the intention there from KRU is to actually use this space while there's no smoke to try to find a pick onto the 2 players who were on A, which is a good idea. But Cloud9 is just facing them anyways, and they net themselves a huge advantage in this round when KRU was looking to strike. This is gonna be terrible if KRU lose this round. I mean, they're gonna get reset economically. They're gonna go back down to only the 1.9K that you get in this instance.
The moment's so heavy, but they're so painfully outnumbered.
Enemy remaining.
And it's just gone from bad to worse. Melser had to use his ult just to recover the spike to get them into a decent situation. But he seems to have found a timing to be able to get the spike down. Rooney playing this a bit more safely, takes a step back, allows B to go up, knowing they're up in numbers.
And he missed the silent jump there, which forces him to just go for the plant instead. He could have maybe found a sneak attack onto Rooney.
That flashback sight confirming that he isn't out proper and he's got to be exactly where that molly is. Now 54 HP for the remaining member of KRU. And a shorty in the face. Cleans him up.
2 more rounds to go here, but I mean, at least they got that spike plant. I'm looking at Kesnet's money right now, 2.7K. That could definitely be an indication that he might have knives. Either way, this was so well done from Cloud9. There's not a one-way or anything like that, so they're able to easily get through, but it's baiting them forward for it.
I believe that's the second shorty kill that we've seen from Leaf in the last 2 rounds.
Look at the eco here. It's complete shambles. Classic 2 sheriffs. Hero buy from Kesnet. Hero buy from Davies as well. They can make this work, but against the op from Leaf, the Odin on Rooney, who they've swapped it up, by the way. It's not always the same person, so it's really difficult to tell.
Yeah, it was Zelsys a couple of rounds ago. Now it's Rooney, as you mentioned. And he gets a kill.
Yep.
That was by himself too. There was nothing to set that up, no confirmation of information, no flash, nothing.
And he also does it from the top of the default box inside of B there rather than up close, which makes it really difficult to punish back. And you get a better angle. Not necessarily a better angle, but a different one at that.
Still 2 rifles up for KRU, for Kesnet and for Davies. Also worth noting here, the different setup that Cloud9 are using with Killjoy. They've got the alarm bot and a nano mid with Zelsis close by. And it seemed like Melser was going to try to find some space there. But instead opts to go Cat. That dash running out of time. Puts himself in the tiniest of angles. Nothing to have to clear at the dart. He's still in a good position. It looks like he's just waiting for that flash to come through, knowing what could be on the other side, but Davies doesn't have one. All he had was that knife. There it is, the dash out into the cloudburst. He tries to fill the space, but he's already dead.
What's going on?
Leaf's looking for another. There it is. He needed the shorty kill, and he got it. 3 for 3 on those.
Last round before
And the final round of the half to make this a super strong half for Cloud9. This defense has been very nice so far. 8-4 would be good, 9-3 would be great.
You know, there are instances, especially on Ascent, where you look at a scoreline like this and say, well, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, you know, what have you. Sure. In this case, it really does. The timeline and the score tell you everything that you need to know.
When you look back to KRU's game against Fury on this map, KRU had a fantastic attack side. It was nothing like this at all. In fact, it just dominated both halves of that map.
Yeah. A far cry from the KRU we've seen for the last 3 matches. Leaf playing just on the other side of this wall. Spots a shoulder, not able to land the shot, has to get away. The Hunter's Fury invested from Klaus.
No tags.
No, nothing at all.
Seekers as well, the delay. They get the information set up. And Jake perfectly.
What a cheeky spot. They invested the Trailblazer and everything because they wanted to take this fight to KRU.
KRU's not quite done with it yet. Despite the fact that Klaus missed every single pulse. Lockdown may be spammable if Rooney gets close enough, but Kesnet just jumps up. And we've got a game yet, 8-4. Again, good half from Cloud9, but KRU, I mean, they strike back, and they were getting on the side, so some of their plans were working very well, but definitely feels like Cloud9's still in control, especially with this Viper on attack now. Sean was talking about the attack side tendencies they have can be super strong. I can't wait to watch the rest of this because strategically, I'm loving what I'm seeing from both sides.
I think the question is, as we see Kesnet clean up the last 2 rounds, or the last 2 kills of that round, excuse me, is when are we going to see him return to form? When are we going to see him catch fire? Because it feels like KRU desperately needs it. Golden Boy, what do you think?
Thank you so much for that, fellas. Yeah, I mean, that is a question that we're kind of left asking ourselves as well, given that we've been bigging up Kesnet quite a bit here. But it goes without saying that, you know, you were kind of running into a brick wall a few times, Sean, in C9 setups, but Kesnet definitely felt the brunt of that.
Yeah, the brick wall was coming in the form of like 2 controllers and a Killjoy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one site has a Killjoy, one site has a Viper. Those are the anchors. They're very, very difficult to get past. And if you take the center of the map, you're getting one-way smoked by the Omen everywhere, you know, from Market and from Short A. So there was no openings for KRU, and the only rounds they were able to win were just brute force takes on one of the sites.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the struggles that Kesnet had trying to entry through all of that util. 0-6 on the first kills to deaths. That is brutal.
Yeah, extremely rough to see. But then obviously, when you want to flip it over to C9 though, Baby Bay, it was a very clear game plan, and it worked to perfection for them in a lot of these rounds.
Yeah, I mean, cycling the Odin is something that Wyatt was talking about earlier, and it was beautiful. It actually called out Kesnet quite a bit. Like, there was a time when he walked up mid and the smoke just gets spammed for no reason. It's like they're not allowing him to get going, and it's hard as a duelist when you have a slow start to actually bring it back. So, I mean, we'll see what he can do. It's obviously a defense-sided map, in my opinion, so I think he can have a lot more free reign to run around.
I do think it is defensive-sided, especially with the composition that Cloud9's running. But with that said, you know, the way KRU is composed, I feel like they rely a lot on Kesnet to open up these rounds, and against the double controller, like I said in the pregame, it's going to be very hard for him to get set up on lines and feel comfortable. You know,
Yeah.
This guy's going to be getting info, and he's going to be blocked vision the whole time.
Yeah, and it was a point you made, Baby, so I'm just going to steal right now to sound smart. But you talked about you had mentioned previously when Kesnet had his great jet game, he started on the raise where he's been, you know, lights out. So he gets rolling with the momentum there, and it carries over. This time though, he's starting on the jet, and he's about to play, I'm assuming, a hell of a lot of jet as the series goes on with the maps.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, with the way that things have laid out here, it feels like Cloud9's game plan is working out, but 8-4 is doable for KRU. Let's see how this all pans out and send it back to Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, fellas. Yeah, again, the question goes back to Kesnet. What can he do on this jet? We've talked so much about his Raze versus jet and how effective he can be on the Raze role, but now his team desperately needs him to come online, desperately needs him to find some value on this star role. And it's going to be tough treading, man. Again, in the face of a double controller, that's going to be difficult.
I think it has to come down to getting him an op really, really early.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about defensive sidedness on this map, but looking at KRU's past history, I was referencing their game against Furia in a 9-3 half in that game on attack. So this might be really tough. We didn't get quite to see too much of the defensive half, but Cloud9 waiting out any util that could come outside of B there, now smoking off Nags. Just trying to get a ghost shot off the turret.
Yeah. It's just going to be a full take of the site, and they've left Zeppa playing around mid. No utility, but he's going to be there to cut off rotation.
This is really slow for these mid players right now. It's going to take quite some time finally breaking that turret. Zeppa with a frenzy. If they don't check this.
They know now. Oh, dear. Well.
But this is taking so much time. I mean, we've already spent like 20 seconds just getting these players up into B main right now.
Yeah, just setting up for the fight. You're right.
And he's already ready for the, I mean, Leaf is already marking out, pinging where the dart is going to land because he knows where Klaus is coming from.
There it is.
He missed it. Just went off the map.
Time is so short right now. I don't know that KRU are going to have enough time to do this. And now with Leaf still playing on site. They desperately needed the pistol, and it does not go their way.
And again, the desk highlighted Kesnet. His rough performance so far. He was 0-6 in that first half in first deaths. Now again, the first death in this round is Zeppa right here, just not clearing his corner. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough angle to kind of expect, but when you've done nothing on the map, you have to be diligent. And if you're not diligent, that's what happens. At this point, Leaf is getting kills, it's cool, but the round's over.
Right,
it's already over based on the time.
KRU choosing not to force. Same Viper wall that we're seeing, that we saw in the previous round from Rooney.
Yeah, that's just a complete AXEC wall. It definitely allows you to get a little bit more space on the orb. And well, this might be over quick here.
Yeah, no real fight. Even the small nuance, like Zelsis going down low, Leaf having the high ground, this high-low in an unexpected position.
A dynamic one at that with the updraft is so crazy. He's actually firing off that Guardian too. I mean, shoot your shot. And again, Kesnet first to die. Yeah, they were leading an aggressive push on the eco, so we kind of expected in that case. Sacrificial lamb to catapult into maybe a few more.
Yeah.
But look at the difference from that pistol round clearing the corner against Zeppa. They didn't do it for KRU. Whereas Cloud9, when they get those first 2 kills, they're still diligent in clearing the rest of it. Look at this, guns are all out. Flash even for B main, so this guy's completely blind for a minute. And both players running around that corner ready to take that high-low like you pointed out.
And then we still had Rooney with the Sheriff kill. A complete round for Cloud9.
Had it all. An early timeout in this half. Kind of necessary.
Yeah, I would agree.
Probably the most important round to bring it back here. You've got to, on Ascent, start the defensive side strong when you're down so big already. If you can't get streaks going on defense, where are you ever going to get them? We didn't see any of them on that attack.
See the members of KRU on your screen listening intently. As Adam, you imagine, is being very thorough in what it is that his team has to do in order to get back into the action. They find themselves down 6 rounds. This is just the first map in this best of 3. And yes, this is the upper finals, so there is still a shot at the lowers. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, when it comes down to a best of 5, having the advantage of being able to come through the upper bracket and have the edge, if you will, when it comes to map selection is so pivotal.
And they did pick this Ascent. So the rest of the map pool, they're thinking about how they might have needed this one. And this is tough for KRU. I mean, they've been kind of sun running so far. Statistically, I mean, they've definitely beat up on some teams like Lev. How does he get that? I mean, Davies definitely over peaking, trying to get that knife out for some reason instead of just using a safer approach. And they get it before that knife even pops. They break the knife too. I mean, just ridiculous. An orb also added into this execute. There's still 2 players here though. And I'm wondering if they collected information about the Odin on the other side of the map. There again, remember, we talked about how KRU went for this pick. Same outcome though, this time for KRU.
Weave, play it online.
Right click him maybe.
He wants to go.
Ooh.
And Zeppa swings out at the same time. Once again, you're seeing dynamic peaks out from Cloud9, overwhelming the opposition. 2v2 here, Cloud9 have gotten the site, they have the spike, they are getting it planted.
Spike planted.
A Phantom and an Odin in the hands of the defense. And the drone now out.
Oh no, Zeppa can't get spammed here. Ooh.
Ow, just barely. Still a dart for Klaus. He's looking for another target, anyone to get lit up. He can bring the pain and punish, but leave with 3. The Guardian still in play. Nags gets it to a 1v1, but Zeppa cleans it up.
Bonus converted, and this might be a fast lane here.
Let's leave whatever happens
Towards map
in the
2.
past.
Yeah.
Towards Cloud9's map pick. KRU has to force up here. And again, that was actually a good start from them, despite the fact that they lost the first kill. Mells are able to clap right back as Cloud9 continue to try to push the advantage on the site without a smoke there.
I mean, fully flashed, and he gets 2.
Just gross. Coming into this series in LCQ, KRU, best gun round team, best retake team. So far, they've only won. The 2 gun rounds on that defense.
It's been brutal scenes. Kesnet with the Guardian trying to find an early pick as Cloud9 trampled their way forward, and Leaf does eventually fall. But now without Melser meeting his death either. KRU just so far away here. Nax is still just working across the middle of the map, and Kesnet's left in this fight where he's having to deal with so many different targets without any help.
I mean, there's a flood attempt there from KRU, but it's splintered because of the mollies from Rooney. Finally, he falls, and they're going to try to push this lockdown.
Oh, Jake.
Success so far.
3v2. Cloud9 gotten it down to a 2v2 now. Zelsis still dancing around. Not many bullets left in the clip. And it's all going to be on to Zelsis. Takes a step back. Gets pressured. Still finds time to reload. Davies, half, pulls off. Zelsis with the Red Bull clutch. That's got to be a dagger.
Match point.
They should not have won that. Absolutely should not have won that. When that lockdown went down, you thought for sure Zelsis was also going to get traded out too. This flood attempt there, you can see Kesnet's out by himself.
Yeah.
Just by himself. It's because of the orb and molly that Rudy's throwing. I mean, they have this insistence on placing this wall, and it's working really nice on the safe side. KRU's got to find an answer and fast, and they're going to have to do it with light weaponry too. There's going to be a bunch of C9. Oh, early pick again from Leaf.
Davies already dead.
It's the same situation too, where he's trying to throw his knife.
Klaus finding a little bit of something. You see Kesnet tried getting high ground over the cover. Couldn't find any value.
Relying on a judge to save the game here, and it might pay off here. The rotate is coming in. It's not able to punish Leaf. Finally, it goes his way. KRU.
But even if Nags gets, I mean,
the stun.
It's considered. The Trailblazer was well done.
And look at the pivot back immediately, and there's no info here for KRU. The smoke as well. Just got placed down on both sides.
The benefit is Melser does have his ult too, so they can flip map, potentially if need be.
Right now, they're walking inside a spawn. They're completely unsure about where they are.
Yeah.
Now with the spike coming, they're going to start to realize. But because they've walked all this way, they could surprise them out of heaven right now. Still Rooney with this molly. It's just such good delay.
He still has 1 molly. Zelsis still has 2 nanos. and the turret.
And the wall's gonna come back up too. Fuel takes a long time in this patch. But with that molly, it pushes them back, and he's probably gonna activate now.
And time just ticks away. Desperation for the side of KRU. And a huge moment, it's gonna fall down to a 1v1. Rooney is pit.
Fake TP.
Can't imagine he uses it here. Tucks on the angle, waiting for the swing, and Rooney wins it out. The 3K to get Cloud9 map 1.
And it's a flawless